Boo! Did that scare you? Probably not. You know what? If anything, it probably just annoyed you a little bit. Sorry, but that's how I feel when I'm watching just about any horror movie that comes out nowadays. I don't really know what to call this type of video. It's not a video essay for sure. It's not a review of anything. It's more of a commentary and an observation on the state of one of my favorite film genres, which is horror. Now, I love myself a good psychological thriller like Alien or even Seven, if you want to count that. I also like myself a good old-fashioned classic slasher like Friday the 13th Part 4 or Nightmare on Elm Street, which is really funny. Or even Halloween, which is funny because a new Halloween just came out, which is why I'm thinking about this in the first place. Halloween, as I said in my review of the film, is a love letter to the classic horror slasher genre, I guess. But not only is it that, it's also a celebration. It's a return to form. It's embracing its roots in such a way that Texas Chainsaw from a couple years ago tried to do, but kind of fell on its face. And it's very simple. A return to form to a very simple form of just a man with a knife coming after somebody to stab them. It's a very simple formula, and returning to it with, HD cameras, turns out it's a pretty good idea, pretty easy to do. One of the things that makes Halloween so good is that everything is practical, just about. Like, oh, that's a dead body, that's a person acting like they're dead. Oh, that's Michael Myers, that's an actor holding a knife. It's very simple, very easy to do, and it can instill an even realer sense of fear than a CGI creation, some sort of abomination that's added in post-production.
Oh, my Karen. Oh, my computer wife, Karen.
The reason I didn't like Texas Chainsaw from 2014, or don't really like the Saw movies, or didn't enjoy, what is it called, The Nun, or Truth or Dare, or any of the other Conjuring Universe movies, or Paranormal Activity recently, stuff like that, is because everything is so disgustingly CGI and staged, and everything feels so fake. Because you have your actors reacting to nothing rather than reacting to an actual person or a thing in shot. There's more in Halloween that scares you in shot than could ever scare you using editing or post-production. The only editing that's really needed is camera cuts and sound mixing, because sometimes the score can get you just as on edge as seeing some sort of shadow in the background. And that's another thing I really want to talk about. Halloween's got that classic music, the do 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 do, and Friday the 13th has that classic shing shing ha ha ha. I know Nightmare on Elm Street has its own thing. I can't think of what it is right now, but what I'm trying to say is old horror has the sound down. Like, I've heard somebody say that if you don't want to be scared in a horror movie, then you need to cover your ears instead of closing your eyes, because it should sound scarier than it looks. That's very important. That's very true. And that's kept intact when you're watching Halloween 2018. Whereas if you watch The Nun or Truth or Dare or The First Purge, you're just like, what an unimaginative score. There's no classic sound to expect from this. There's nothing signature about The Purge or the Conjuring universe as far as sound goes. There's just nothing there. It's just a movie that exists, and it's really not... I don't see Conjuring, Annabelle, The Nun going the distance. Maybe Ouija? Because the first one was really bad and Origin of Evil was actually pretty decent. But I don't think CGI and an unimaginative score and lackluster acting is what's really killing horror. I always blame Blumhouse for stuff like this, because Blumhouse gave us, Happy Death Day and Get Out, which I actually didn't really like, and Truth or Dare and The Purge. And I try not to make fun of them too hard, because they also gave us Halloween 2018, and they gave us Upgrade, which I didn't get to review, but I actually really loved that movie. I won't blame an entire studio for what they do to a genre. That doesn't seem fair. But I will say they play a large role in perpetuating this notion that there's nothing left to do with horror, which isn't true, because horror comes down to two things: a monster killing people or a person killing people. And there are still original, new, fresh ways to get one of those two things to happen. Like, I have a horror movie that I want to make about a person that turns people into dolls just because that's what she's into. It's not some sort of thing where it's like, oh, as a child she was tortured or she was violated by a relative or something like that. It's just she wants to do that, so she's gonna do it. Sometimes horror can be simple, sometimes it can be really elaborate, like in the first Alien movie, which there should have only been one. Things can be really convoluted, like Freddy Krueger's entire backstory leading up to him getting burned alive and approached by dream demons and being given the power of immortality and becoming a dream demon himself. Or something as simple as Michael Myers was always crazy, killed his sister, and then got locked up and broke out and tried to kill his baby sister. Very simple.
They're in the flash to a big dance party, a monster bash. Wolf.
This itself doesn't feel like a very valid criticism because I do want to give Universal props for trying to do the dark universe, but ever since Twilight ended, we don't see vampires anymore. We don't see werewolves anymore. We haven't even really gotten anything worthwhile as far as zombies since that whole thing happened. Did Twilight kill the monster movie genre? It feels like it did. Hollywood, don't be afraid to give us a good vampire story again. Just don't make them glisten in the sun. Make them die in the sun. Make them turn to dust in the sun. Like Thanos them. It's just like, I don't understand how one film series was able to make the rest of the filmmakers in that genre afraid to do something that came long before. Does that make any sense to you guys? Like, as much as I don't like remakes, I would remake American Werewolf in London because that's one of my favorite horror movies because everything's done in shot, everything is practical effects, it's really well done, well edited, and I love the music from it. But that's neither here nor there. Like I said, this wasn't really a video essay. This was just me, I guess, complaining in a very unprofessional way about the modern state of horror. Just because Halloween was such a good movie, and no, it's not perfect. Absolutely not. That's why I didn't give it a Spectaculous. But I think there's a lot to learn from it, especially as far as horror movies go. You don't have to just return to form as in make a sequel to a 1970s horror movie. Just go back and try to recapture the spirit of those old movies, and you'll be able to scare your audience just fine. I know you're expecting me to put some sort of thing on screen to jump scare you. I'm not going to do that. In fact, what I am going to do is tell you that this video is over, but you can watch more of mine on screen through the magical power of post-production. And I'll see you next time.